What's up guys? Army-Firedawg is back again, and today I have the review video for you of Meze Audio's flagship IM, the Penta, or Heavens 5. So with that being said, I'd like to share my thoughts with you of Meze's flagship IM and see if they live up to such a bold name. And like all my reviews, I like to start with the construction of which, and then I'll work my way down from there. So as you can see, the Penta's body is absolutely top-notch. It is completely CNC'd aluminum from the frame all the way to the horn, and including the 3 bores. Now, a cool thing about the bores is that each one corresponds to a driver set, meaning there's 4 BA drivers, 2 to a set, and then 1 dynamic driver, and then each bore goes to a set. Also with that, as you can see on the frame, see if my camera can show it up, you actually have vent holes right here and on the bottom, on the top and the bottom. What that is a pressure equalization system, and Meze claims that to be, it equalizes the pressure inside the drive units. Now, I'm not an engineer, so I can't really claim at all what benefits that possess, but it is something that I have not seen, to my knowledge or from memory, on any other IM that I can think of. Now, one of the cool things I do, and I mentioned in the unboxing, and I really fell in love with it, is the very, very soft edging of the Penta's frame. As you can see, it's just a very soft curve. So what this does is it fits into your concha very, very easily, and it even during long listening durations, at least from my experience, and I've had them in my ears today for about 4+ hours, and that's usually averaging my longer listening sessions with these, is about 4 to 5 hours. But anyways, not once was that ever uncomfortable. Did I have to adjust? Nothing. It was just very, very comfortable. Now, the only thing I can really narrow that down to on these versus other IMs, even top of the line ones, is that these soft edges. Some of the other ones, though, no, they don't have a sharp edge or a pointy edge, something like that. But I haven't hardly seen any other, or too many rather, IMs with such a soft curve to it, and that really does wonders for comfort. Additionally, these even fit in my wife's super small ears, and that goes a long way. She can't hardly find nothing that fits in them ears. Now, moving down, the cable, as you can see, is very, very nice. This is the stock cable that comes with a 3.5mm unbalanced connection. Now, even though this is the stock cable, it is the exact same cable as the upgrade ones that come with either a 2.5mm balanced connection or a 4.4mm balanced connection, and each of which you can purchase from Meze's website for about $150 each. Now, continuing with the cable, as you can see, it is a very, very nice braid, and it is actually transparent. The silver color you're seeing is the actual wire itself. That is actually really, really nice. The only not quite downside, just something you should take note of, is that this did tangle fairly often, but with that said, it easily untangled. I never had to really work with it. Really, all I had to do was kind of dangle it out like that, and it came undone. So, kind of a negative, but it overrode itself. So to sum up the construction of it, I really don't have anything bad to say. It is very, very nice. It's built well. It's beautiful to look at. The detachable cables part is something that should be standard, and I'm glad to see it is becoming more prevalent. Actually, with that being said, I do have a negative, actually, and it is actually a very annoying one. Nothing major, but it is kind of annoying. So when you're changing the cables, there is no indicator on the right, like there's no R or anything like that. The only indicator that you have left and right is only on the right one, a slightly red, tiny little red paint dash right there. And that's the only thing that tells you if you have the left or the right channel connected. So that is a negative, and I wish it would be a more pronounced L and R. Now, moving down to the comfort, and I'm pretty sure I touched on this just a little bit ago, but the comfort of these is fantastic. Not once did I have to adjust, did I have to take them out to let my ears cool. It just stayed there very, very nicely. Everything just builds for a very comfortable, long listening session. Now with that, the isolation factor is very, very good. When I had these in, it just almost completely drowned out the outside world. The only thing I really heard was my music. Now, the one time I listened to that at work, I realized this very quickly. I'm like, ooh, can't listen to these at work. I kind of have to hear what's going on around me if the tones go off. So I don't recommend, actually I strongly unrecommend the use of these in an environment where you really need to hear stuff around you. If you are the active type and you want to listen to music while you're jogging, transversing, something like that, these will stay put in your ears. They will not move, at least from my experience on a very, very light jog, short light jog, they did not move. Now, I mentioned that because I stopped before I even got any remotely starting of sweating. The reason for such is, yes, though these don't move when you go for a jog or run, so help you be lifting, whatever, Meze has not made, to my knowledge, any claim of these being sweat resistant at all. So for those of you who sweat, or if there's any chance of sweat or any moisture getting into the drivers, you're taking a very big risk. To conclude the comfort, as you can probably guess, I have nothing bad to say. They're just very, very nicely done. They stay put. I have zero complaints. Now, moving on to what you all probably care the most about, and that is the sound quality. So how is the sound of Meze's flagship IM, their $1,100 IM called the Penta, or Heaven's 5? Rai means heaven or paradise, and Penta means 5. So do they live up to this? So a short answer would be yes. They are a very, very competent top-of-the-line headphone. They absolutely do stay in the lines of Meze's house sound, their musical house sound that I have fallen in love with over the course of the 2-3 years I've been experienced with them. I love their warmth and their just musicality. However, the Pentas do share a nod to their Empyrean flagship, their $3,000 to $4,000 flagship headphones. And yes, they're still overall more musical to listen to. They do lean more towards the audiophile's neutral side. So they're more of a musical side of neutral. But of course I'll touch on what I mean when I talk about the individual characteristics. Now, to continue to talk about just the Pentas without going into the individuals, the biggest thing I took away, and I think you'll notice very quickly, is the separation abilities of the Pentas. A very good song and a good example of this is Pentatonic's Daft Punk. It starts off with a single vocalist, then it goes to 2, then adds a third one, then the fourth one, and then the person doing the bass beat in the background. Throughout the entirety of the song, you could hear each individual person. You could discern them. More instrumental tracks. I think I put a drum beat in my review video. It's linked in the description. But you can hear the bass drum in the back left, and you can still hear the main smaller drums right in front of you. But you're sitting a few rows back, but you can tell that. You know, okay, I'm sitting here. You can tell the main vocal parts here and the big bass drums back there to the left. And that's actually very, very nice. That adds to the transparency that the Pentas have. When you're listening to these, they just disappear and you're just left with the music. That goes a long way with what you'd expect a $1,000+ product to have. That is just a standard feature, but the Pentas really do showcase that very competently. Moving on to the more individual characteristics, so hopefully I can better describe why the Pentas are the sound that they do. And like I always like to start with my treble. So the highs on in any audio product, I always represent as reminiscent of the eyes, because you have to be able to show the detail, but you have to show that emotion, show the energy of what you're listening to, but also you never want to be harsh. Similar to eyes, you want to have a very soft eyes, but you don't want to be piercing because it scares people away. In terms of the Penta, I like to call that more, instead of being eyes, they're gates, kind of reminiscent of the name. As the gates open, it's never harsh. The rise can very, very easily and competently showcase the very, very, very high peaks of what you're listening to. A great song of this is the Fifth Element song, and I'm drawing a blank what it's actually called, but it's linked in the description. Also about any violin track. I think I used Introduction, and I can't think of what the last name is, but it's from Your Lie in April soundtrack. But the violin piece and the piano is just beautiful to listen to. Even on the high energy pieces, you get all the energy. You get all the charisma of the violinist, and you never get just a piercing note. You never get that quinciness because it goes too sharp. It's very controlled. You get the height, but it doesn't get sharp or harsh. That is very hard for a product to do, and that really does showcase an engineer's or sound engineer's ability to control their product. And with the Rye Pentas, that did a very, very nice job. Now moving on to the mids is what I care most about. That's the area I focus on because to me, that's where the soul of the music lies. That's where the emotion, the feelings, the everything lies, because that's where the artist's voice is. Linked is where I linked a female vocalist. Don't know her name, but it's Glassy Sky. She covers the Glassy Sky cover of Tokyo Ghoul. There's several out there, but the one I linked is my personal favorite. And then on the male vocal side, I linked Sound of Silence by Disturbed. Both of those two showcase the abilities of the Rye Penta to express the artist's emotion. You get the sadness from Glassy Sky. You get the kind of disappointment, or I don't know how to describe the tone of Sound of Silence from Disturbed, but you get both of that, and you just can't help but just lean back and just experience your music. Now, this is where I will say, for me personally, in my ears, in my set of what I look forward to in music or in audio products, this is where I think the Rye Pentas kind of take the back seat on the musicality, and they lean more towards the audiophile, generally audiophile accepted sound being more neutral. Because a good example, and I linked, is the song S.O.B. by Nathaniel Rateliff. In the song, there's a lot of hands clapping, and towards the mid end of the song, you have fingers snapping. Now, with the Rye Pentas, yes, you hear that, and it sounds very clean. It sounds, it sounds accurate. You can tell it's hand slapping very easily. But unlike more of the warmer headphones, more mid-focused headphones, it's missing that body, that fleshy sound. That's not a negative to the Rye Penta. That's just something that more mid-neutral products, that's just something that's consistent. So that is about the only differentiating thing between the Rye Pentas and the Imperiums versus the rest of the Meze line that I've personally fallen in love with. Overall, yes, it is still a more musical headphone. It's just still audiophile friendly in the neutrality department. Now, moving on to the bass. The bass is the heartbeat of the music. That's where you keep your pace. That's where you keep your rhythm. If you listen to something and it doesn't have a powerful heartbeat or a powerful beat, or it doesn't stay in sync with the rest of the track, it just throws the whole thing out of whack. You can't keep up with it, and it doesn't end that well. It's usually something you turn away from because the bass is what keeps everything together, just like the heart. Now, with the Rye Pentas, admittedly coming into this, majority of the IMs I'm experienced with, even top-of-the-line ones such as the $1,100 Rye Pentas, they can't give a strong bass presence because, unlike the full cans brethren they kind of have a little bit of space. They don't have as big of a magnet, so they have to resort to other engineering feats to get said bass. Now, with the Rye Pentas, though you don't get super earth-shattering bass, you do still, or at least in my experience, in my personal preference, you are still very impressed, at least I was, with the bass response. It was still very full, and you could still listen to some good dubstep, house music, trap music, stuff like that, and still sound fulfilled because the bass is still there, and it still gets very low. I never really felt bass. It kind of got there to the 32-ish hertz where you could feel it, but it just didn't have the size to actually make you feel the music. But I was never hollowed sounding. It was always a very full sound. Do not fret at all, audiophile, audio enthusiast or not. If you want to plug in some trap, dubstep, rock, if you like rap, if that's your forte, by all means listen to them on the Rye Pentas. You'll more than likely enjoy it more than you think you would. But guys, in conclusion of my thoughts on the Rye Pentas is that overall they are a very nice IM. Their comfort rivals that of custom earphones. It's about on par with the RCA CL2 IM that I reviewed a while ago in terms of comfort, and that says a lot. The sound quality stays to the Meze's house sound, so if you, like me, are a fan of Meze's house sound, you will find solace in the Rye Pentas. It's just more audiophile friendly in the neutrality than versus going full musicality, if that makes sense. But anyway, guys, if you have any questions or if there's anything I may have missed that you would like me to clarify more, please hit me up in the comments down below. I will absolutely reply to each and every one of you, and I do enjoy hearing from you. Yeah, it's been a dry year. I haven't had that many products come out. In fact, I've only had about one product every 2-3 months or so, it seems, but I'm working with what I got. But anyway, guys, as always, my name is Army-Firedawg. It has truly been a pleasure, but most importantly, and please I ask of you, my friends, stay safe.